Now we want to go over all the groups again, and we want to change 2 layers now. First of all, we want to change the metal and rough layer, and we want to change the gradient layer on all of those groups. Let's start with the very first one, which is the fabric white. So let's click on the metal rough first. Looks pretty solid already. We don't want it too glossy, so we don't want it too rough, so 0.5, around 0.5 seems to be right. Now let's click on the gradient one. Let's check out the gradient. Also, the gradient seems good. Light blue tint from the top looks quite cool. So let's also keep this one. Let's continue with the fabric beige. Again, let's click into the metal rough one first, and let's see. I would say let's switch it up a bit. Let's maybe make it a little more rough. And we don't need metalness, of course. Let's go into our gradients again. Let's see. This one we could, instead of making it blue, we could go for a different color. What if we go for some reddish tone like this? Let's see if we pump up the opacity a bit. Let's take the saturation down a bit. Maybe let's also take the lightness down a bit. Let's see if we... This could look cool, yeah. Maybe still too saturated. Yep, this looks good. Let's continue with the fabric red. So that's that one, for example. I would say let's make this one a bit more glossy. So we have a nice contrast between those fabrics. So a bit more glossy. Okay. And for the gradient, let's see. I do like this blue tint. Let's see, maybe we can go for some violet. Maybe less opacity, so let's turn this down a bit. But this does look cool. Okay, cool. Next one, leather brown. Let's go for the metalness first again. Here I would say I would go for more glossy because it is leather. So something like this. And on the HSL for the gradient, I would say let's go for something. Let's see. Let's try some stuff out. What if we just go for more saturated and a light, maybe yellow tint? And I would also like to have the gradient from the bottom. So what we need to do is go into our gradient, add the levels on top, and invert it. And we can also change the gradient here a bit, so it's not all the way, so it's just the bottom. Let's see. Maybe less opaque. Let's try. Oh, not the whole thing. Yeah, does look good. Now let's go for the leather red. On those gloves again, I would again say let's make them more glossy than the fabric. Let's also just copy the gradient from the other red we had. But now I would say let's invert it first of all. So again, another levels and an invert. And we clamp it again. So we just have the tips. Exactly. And I would say maybe not as bright, as opaque. Let's turn this down a bit. Just want a slight gradient. This looks good. Bit more maybe. Okay, good. Next one, leather black. Again, metal rough first. So we can make this more rough. So we have a nice difference between this glossy piece and this rough piece then. So we're gonna make it a little bit more rough. And for the HSL, we're gonna try to maybe add some, let's see, add some violet. But as we can see, it's not doing anything because it's just black. So what we can do is change the mode from perspective to regular. And now we can start introducing color again. Maybe some bluish tint on this one. Okay, it does look cool. Maybe not as much. Okay, cool. Does look good. Let's continue with the plastic white, metal rough first. So that's those guys mainly. So let's say want this way more glossy. Let's see. Yeah, something like this maybe. And for the gradient, we want to go for some blue tone, I would say. Let's see if we pump this up. Yeah, exactly. So I want some blue tone, but maybe we want it from the bottom. So I would say let's add the levels again and then invert. And then again, let's clamp this a bit. Okay. Now let's go in again. Let's search for a nice blue tone. Let's decrease the saturation a bit. Too opaque right now, so let's turn the opacity down a bit. Okay, does look cool though. Okay, next one, plastic black. Let's see. So that's those guys. Again, I would say let's make them more glossy. Be cool. Then let's add a gradient again in regular again. So we can actually change the color. Let's see. Yeah, maybe something like this. Let's maybe also invert the gradient here. Maybe that's too much. So let's turn down the saturation a bit. Okay, it does look good like this though. Let's go into the plastic red. That's the cup, for example. Let's see how rough we want this one. Yeah, I would say not as glossy as the white one. So we have a difference again. Something like this could work. Okay. And for the gradient, oh yeah, this already looks cool. I would just again like to invert the gradient here. And turn down the opacity a bit. Okay. Again, let's turn it down way more. Yeah, this looks cool. Okay, nice. Next one, a metal black. So that's this guy at the back, for example. I already did like how rough it was. Not super glossy, but not super rough, like something in the middle. Okay. And then let's add a gradient here as well on regular. Blue is always good for metal because it makes them feel less like it makes them feel cold, so more metalish. So that's also Flip this one. Okay. Does look good. Let's turn down the opacity a bit. See. Yeah, cool. Maybe a bit more. Okay, does look cool, yeah. Now the only piece missing is the metal red. Again, looking at the metal and roughness, we don't want it super rough. We don't want it super glossy. More rough than more glossy, I would say. So it's again not the same as this metal. So this looks fine. And for the gradient, yeah, we want something bluish or violet, something like this. So let's see. Okay. Okay, it does look good. The skin we will not touch yet. It will be a separate pass. It does look cool. A thing that I just noticed is this guy, I would like to have him in plastic black. So let's remove him from metal black and let's add him to plastic black. As you can see, super easy to do. So you can always do it on the fly. And I also would like to add this guy to plastic black instead of metal black. Oh, I did for the whole thing, just this guy. Exactly. Okay, cool. Oh, and also that guy, I just saw it. This guy should be black as well. So let's paint onto this one. Easiest way is just to hide the top layer. Let's paint on top of it so we're sure it has the color underneath. Then we're gonna go into the metal red layer. We can select the UVs like this, for example, open black. And then we're just gonna use our paintbrush and click again and paint around it. Easy as that. This is always a good thing if your ID maps don't match or if you want to change things on the fly, just go for it. You don't need to go back and change the ID maps. Okay, cool. Okay, so in the next video, we will go over the face and the hair.